Aloha and welcome to the Living in Hawaii show. Today we have a great guest with us, Rachel Conley from South Kona. She's going to fill in lots of information. Rachel, we haven't seen you here on the show for a few months, and we're so happy to have you back. Tell us a little bit about yourself, just to remind everybody about you and where you're at.
Thank you, Carol. It's nice to be back. I live in South Kona, actually in Ka'u district of the Big Island, and I live in Ocean View. And yeah, I've been here for 12 years and I absolutely love it.
Great. Well, I'm so glad you're here today. And then, of course, I'm Carol Spearling. I'm your host for this show today. And we have another special something that we just added to our Living in Hawaii. And I want to really let everybody know that you can, in the comments below, there's going to be a link that says meet with a Living in Hawaii expert. So you can book a meeting with any of us in the Living in Hawaii show if you have more questions, just with a click of a button. So please take a look at that. And then moving forward today, we are talking about farmers markets in Hawaii. You know, Hawaii is a very, very agricultural state. We have obviously great ground. We have the volcanic soil. It's so good for growing so many things, and it's very rich, and so many farmers on the island. And that's what they do. That's their way of making a living, is to farm. And so then, of course, to sell their goods, some of them do sell to stores and local stores, but farmers markets, it's the best way to go. And we have such a variety of them here on island. And, you know, it's so important, I think, when you're here, you're moving here, you're living here, you're visiting here, support the local farmers, support the small businesses, because the fresh seasonal produce that you can get. Rachel, suggest some things that you're not going to find on the mainland. There's got to be, we have things that are so unique to Hawaii.
Absolutely. We got all your delicious varieties of bananas, apple bananas, the regular bananas, ice cream bananas, papayas, mangoes, which I'm one of my favorites, of course, lilikoi, which is passion fruit, and then all the fresh veggies that we can grow all year round. You know, we have a lot of fun little varieties from different parts of the world, other tropical areas that we can grow here, which is also super fun.
Yeah, and I think down in your area, dragon fruit grows really good, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. You are so correct. Dragon fruit grows really, really well. There's dragon fruit farms out here. And if you haven't had a dragon fruit, it kind of tastes, for me, it tastes like a kiwi, kind of like a kiwi mixed with, you know, a little bit less of a flavor, but it is sure beautiful and it has a ton of great vitamins.
Yeah, those are really good. You know, just so many different things that we always really want to support the farmers markets. And the other great thing about farmers market, it's a community gathering spot. You get to meet so many people. There's so many different varieties of people that go to these and have markets, but then the people that are visiting the markets to purchase. And the markets aren't just veggies and fruit. They also sell different goods, jewelry, different types of food items. Sometimes there's ones with food trucks, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. But, you know, it's just super important to promote and support these because it's also so eco-friendly and sustainable. You know, we live on an island. We're in the middle of the Pacific, and we need to be able to grow our own food and be able to survive on our own without having to rely on being transferred from the mainland and having, you know, food arrive here for us. So obviously we're surrounded by the ocean, where we have fish from the sea, we have the mountain, where we have cattle and pigs and different meats from the mountain, sheep, goats. So, you know, we have to be self-sufficient here. And I think that's one of the most important things about living in Hawaii. And looking at what we're looking for as far as markets, you know, there's such a variety of places to look for them. There's, you know, some markets are big, some are small. It just kind of depends upon where you're at. And there's different ways of finding them, the Hawaii Farm Bureau website and local Facebook groups and everything. Honestly, what we're going to talk about, because Rachel and I are here on Big Island, we're going to talk about the ones that we know about the most here on Big Island. And Rachel, I'll have you start with the ones that you go to on a pretty regular basis between Ka'u and Volcano and Hilo side and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one that I go most to is obviously the Ocean View Swap Meat Farmers Market, which is Saturday morning. And this one is like a variety show. Like there is, you know, farmer fresh produce. There's people selling different wares. I mean, sometimes you can get dog food, you can get cool antiques. I mean, there's food vendors. It's like really fun, and it's definitely a gathering spot. Probably the next one I frequent most often is the one in Nalehu, which is Wednesday mornings, and it is a beautiful spot. Tons of local artisans as well as farmers and food trucks there. And then another great one is Volcano. Volcano has a couple markets. One is a Thursday market, which is kind of fun if you want to do more of a nightlife. You know, they have food vendors and again, some more artists to support, as well as Saturday morning. They also have another market. So I frequent those ones. If I'm in the Hilo area, I have to stop by the Hilo Farmers Market. It is very famous. It's right there on Bayfront. It has a huge variety of amazing fruits and vegetables. Stock up on your produce there when you're in Hilo, absolutely. If you're gonna go towards Puna and it happens to be a Sunday, you have to stop by the Maku'u Farmers Market on Sunday. Again, it is like a little mini festival. Sometimes they have live entertainment. They have, music, dancing sometimes, different workshops, and amazing fruits, vegetables, and food vendors there as well.
Yeah. And, you're mentioning the food vendors, and I think that's a really important topic because these food vendors are focusing and showcasing the local foods and what they do with them and how they work with them, and so that you can get a taste of them. And that's one of the neat things about farmers markets too, is a lot of times you'll get a taste. You'll have tastes of, honey, or you get a taste of, they'll cut up a little mango for you, or nuts, or, just all kinds of neat stuff that they provide for you that you get to taste, and then you can buy it. And, just having the food vendors there is just a really great thing. And having the entertainment, it's a event to go to on a lot of these. And yeah, Hilo swap or farmers market in downtown Hilo, that's going to be more your fruits and veggies, that type of thing, because there are restaurants around. So they don't have as much food vendors, I think, and it's more focused on the produce side. But all of these others that are a little bit further out, you mentioned Volcano. Of course, we have Madame Pele going off right now, off and on, off and on. And then, so that's kind of a neat place. And it's a very artistic community, as well as you mentioned Nalehu. Now, a lot of people are going to go, Nalehu, where is that? If you've ever heard of the Punalu sweetbread, it's down in Nalehu town, and they do the Punalu bakery there where you can get good stuff. But I would suggest going to the farmers market and stopping up there, because from that you can go to Punalu Beach, which is a black sand beach, and have your picnic with all the things that you bought at the farmers market. West side, I'm on the west side more so. We have a few different ones that we have on a regular basis. In Waimea, they have on Saturday mornings, they have one for Waimea, and that is more in the north central part of the island. And you have a lot of different things that are grown there. They can't necessarily do dragon fruit because it's a little bit too wet and too cold, but they can do a lot of lettuces, and they can do a lot of other variety vegetables that, different parts of the island are going to be better at growing than others. And of course, food trucks, showcasing all of the things. Coming down into Kona, we have one down on Ali'i Drive that is almost every day. And that is a great one to stop by if you're staying in downtown Kailua Kona. And if you're on a cruise ship or, cruising around, then that one is really good. But if you go a little bit further south, you can go to the Keoho area, which is at the southern part of Ali'i Drive. And on Saturdays, the Keoho Shopping Center has a great farmers market. And I know there they do not only, your fruits and vegetables and your jewelry and your art crafts, that type of thing. But I do know at one time there was someone there selling eggs and beef from a local ranch. So that's kind of a neat little thing. And then at the Keoho Outrigger, which is a hotel down in the Keoho area, on Wednesdays and Fridays, there is a great farmers market that they highlight all of your different variety things. A lot of these vendors go to the same markets, and they are vendors at the same markets, because I have some friends that they're vendors at the Keoho, they're vendors at the swap meet down in Ocean View. And so they kind of move around a little bit so that way, because that's their business. We're trying to promote and support local business and support local people that are that's how they make their living. Another big one in South Kona is the South Pure Kona Green Market. It's on Sundays in Captain Cook, and it is located in the area of the Amy Greenwell Ethno-Botanical Garden and across the street from Manago Hotel. And again, fruits, vegetables, food vendors, artisans, they'll have live music, like Rachel was talking about, dancing. It's just a place to go and spend your day and really enjoy, spending your day and meeting people. I think that's one of the most important things, is getting out and meeting people. And it's a great community to do that. So Rachel, making the most out of your farmer's market visit, can you kind of give us some tips, which are the best things to do when we go to a farmer's market? What do we bring? How do we pay? What type of things?
Sure. Well, I always think it's best to go as early as possible so you can get the best selection of things, and bring your reusable bags or baskets. A lot of times, we don't do plastic bags here in Hawaii, so it's good to bring your own and make sure you have enough if you really find a good haul. Also, maybe I like to kind of circle around, do like one first little trip where I can check everything out, and then I go back to the vendors that I know I want to go back to. So kind of like peruse and see which one you want to go to first. And I also want to note that a lot of these, I don't know if we mentioned, a lot of these vendors will have like sourdough bread and baked goods. Oh. Definitely want to pick up on those. I'm seeing that so much now in these markets, and I just really love them. So yeah, so definitely check out, make sure you know the times that the markets start and end so you get the most out of it.
And as far as payment, because these are local farmers and this is their small business, do they take credit cards? Do they take Venmo? Is cash a better option? What's the scoop there?
I would just take cash just to make sure you have what you need to buy what you want. A lot of vendors do take cards now, I have noticed. Some do take Venmo, but just bring your cash. I think that's the best bet.
Okay, that's good to know. And the nice thing when you go there, it's super helpful as a new resident and moving here, is to talk to the vendors, talk about how they're growing their vegetables, talk about the type of things that they're doing, because you can learn from them. Because when you do move to Hawaii and you get a piece of land, or you want to grow some fruit trees, what is the best way to grow them? How can you get more produce coming out of them? How can you get a better harvest? And so talking to the vendors while you're there at the farmers market, there you go, right there. It's the way to educate yourself in the whole process. And Rachel was talking about getting there early. That way you get what you want the first in the beginning. But there is a trick that if you go towards the end of the market, people don't want to pack up stuff. So you might get a good deal. It might be some of the off, kind of not the best quality, but it still tastes good. If it doesn't look good, it still tastes good. But you can get it at a discounted price, or a lot of times they'll give it to you because they don't want to have to carry it home. So also, buying in bulk. Rachel, you said bring a lot of bags. And knowing what you want to get. Kind of explain that a little bit as far as, bananas, right? I mean, how many bananas you can eat. But if you're planning for a week and they're the tiny little apple bananas that are this big, you got to figure maybe 2 a day per person in the house. So, that's kind of buying in bulk.
Or think about, I freeze a lot of stuff for smoothies or banana bread. So, if it's a good deal and you're like, wow, this looks like gorgeous produce, buy a bunch, get that bulk deal. See hey, can we do 3 hands of bananas for $5 or whatever, whatever they want to go for, but freeze it up. Most fruits freeze, but very nicely.
Yeah, that's a great tip, because banana bread is always a winner. Smoothies. My friend has grandkids. They show up at the house. They just want smoothies. They just banana, milk, a little vanilla powder, and they are happy kids for sure. So yeah, that's a great tip, Rachel, to do that. Also, it's important, I think, when we are out and about, we find out when we're talking to the vendors if they are on Instagram and Facebook, because if they are, we can follow them. And a lot of times they're going to give us specials that buy one, get one free. And also knowing kind of what they're going to provide for you when they get to the market, if they have a special going on that. And, they have loyalty programs. Some farmers and vendors offer the loyalty cards. And again, Rachel, you probably go to them more often than me. What's the deal with free samples?
Oh gosh. Well, a lot of times those are my favorite, right?
We love that.
We like free samples. And if you got kids in tow, they love free samples too. So best way to sample your goods is free samples. So when I see a vendor doing that, I'm like, okay, they know how to market themselves and we're going to go try it. So a lot of times bananas or different beverages. Sometimes people make fermented things that they, offer. So it's a great way to kind of sample, especially if it's a fruit or vegetable you've never had before. It's from a different country. You're like, what is this? A lot of times you can even ask for a sample. A lot of times they want to, sure, let's move this, let's sell this, let's sample it. So always ask if you don't see anything, especially if you've never tried it. So it's always a good way to, and I want to also interject that it is really good to try to follow these vendors and farmers on social media, because then you find out sometimes they have their own little private, food stands. There's a great vendor that has a private food stands here in Ocean View on Sunday mornings. And if, nobody would know about that if they didn't follow social media. So definitely good to find those tips, those tips and tricks. And yeah, free samples are great. Always ask if you're curious.
Yeah. And that is, I think, the free samples thing, because I think we go, especially coming from the mainland, and if you're coming from more of an area that's more city and not so agricultural, you don't really realize that there are so many different varieties of flavors of honey. So, as an example, that honey is a big thing here because we have a lot of bees. It's a very agricultural thing because obviously we need bees because they're the ones that are going to pollinate our fruit trees and have so that, it all goes in a circle. So having bees, therefore you have honey, and there's just such a different variety of different flavors of honey that you would never think of if you didn't go to farmers market and try their free samples. So yeah, just all of these kind of things. Some of them, Rachel, do they take SNAP benefits and food stamps and stuff?
Yes, a lot of them do. They usually advertise, they'll have a little placard that says, we take SNAP or EBT. And that is a great way to kind of, if you are on that type of budget, to utilize your, using your SNAP benefits for local produce. So yeah, a lot of them do now. It's pretty awesome.
That's good, because then that is promoting a more healthy lifestyle as well, compared to going to a big box store and using your food stamps to buy things in a box or a can that really aren't that healthy for you. If you can use these at a farmer's market and buy food that is nourishing your body and your soul, I think that's, a way better use of these food stamps comparatively. So, I think that we've gone through a lot of the things. The one thing I just wanted to remember to mention is volunteering. When you go to these farmers markets, you get to know people, right? And sometimes they've got to run, to go get more product or something. Offer to help, because they're going to be like, wow, that's really great. And then you go back next week and you get to be friends with them. And that, I think, is a really neat thing that, you get to be friends, and then they kind of start relying on you, and you're like, oh, well, I didn't really expect to have a job, but you love it because you get to meet so many people. So volunteering for that type of stuff, I think, is really a great opportunity to get to know the community. And, Rachel, I'm just going to ask, your closing thoughts on farmers markets, where to go, what to do, how to do it, and what's your favorite?
Thank you. Yeah, I want to also say that this is something really close to my heart, sustainability, growing our own food and supporting people who are doing so if you're unable to. And my favorite farmers market, I have a few. I have to say, I love, the one in South Kona, the Pure Kona market, because it's so much fun. My kids love to go there. It's like a little mini festival. And then I would say, my local little Nalehu farmers market in the sweet little town of Nalehu is probably my up there with the other one. It's just really sweet. You see everybody and again, you are supporting people directly in your community, and you get to see them and talk to them, and it's a great little sense of community. So yeah, it's so important to have these farmers markets. Support them when you're here, the local vendors in your area, and they'll tell you, hey, if you end up buying property in a certain area, they'll tell you what you need to know about growing in those areas. So it's great advice.
Yeah, because the farmers know. Farmers know what grows well in different areas. Like I mentioned earlier, Waimea is not going to do well for dragon fruit. Ocean View does. Ocean View, lettuce, some places, as long as it's hydroponic, but not necessarily in the ground because it's not wet enough compared to Waimea, which it is. So the farmers are going to know. And for myself, again, farmers markets, I think the Ocean View swap meet, that's the one I went to the most recently. And again, just an eclectic group, and you can buy anything. And it's almost like a garage sale on steroids. kind of a place, but they have but they have great produce and just really nice people. And again, the Keoho at the Outrigger, I really like that one because I have friends that are vend there, and so I get to go visit with them and stuff. So anywhere you go, you're gonna get great stuff. And again, I want to remind everybody that's here. There's a link down in the comments, meet with a Living in Hawaii expert, and that will generate Calendly. And so that you can book a time to actually meet with one of us and visit and talk about any of the topics that you have and questions you have about living in Hawaii. So we're so happy that you folks are joining us. And Rachel, it's been great. We had something a few months ago, and it's great to have you back today. And from all of us at Living in Hawaii, we thank you and look forward to hearing from you soon. Aloha.
Thank you. Aloha.